Okay.
Oh, good.
King Louis XVI of France is charged with treason. Our definition of treason is either of these two things. Levying war against France, like starting a war or inciting war against France, or either one is treason, giving aid and comfort to France's enemies. If found guilty, punishment 1 is death by guillotine, or punishment 2, exile from France for the rest of his natural-born life. If found not guilty by you judges, he'll remain king of France. So, prosecution, please come up and give your first argument. When you talk, be really loud. The microphone's just going to be right here. Okay? When they're done, you guys get your rebuttal. If anyone gets that in.
Beat him with the gravel.
Go.
No. During good behavior. It literally says that in the judicial branch article. Federal judges.
But we're failing.
You're the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Pictures behind you. Let's hear it.
Whoa! King Louis hates the revolution, and he wants his powers back, with all his will. So he took off his cap of liberty and stamped it out. I feel like he's a traitor to all of France.
And therefore deserves
to have his head cut off by guillotine. We all know what happens to traitors.
Okay. Good? Right. Defense, your rebuttal.
So, of course, King Louis would not like the revolution. They're trying to take his power away. And they're trying to take his job. This is not nice for them to do. They're just not nice.
Okay. Defense, your first argument.
King Louis is not to blame for the three-estate system, for it has been around for hundreds of years before he was even around.
King Louis may not be to blame for the three-estate system, but he did not do anything to try and fix it.
King Louis sent an army to crush the peasants who stormed the Bastille prison. He is a heartless monster. And they were saying that the rebels are being unkind by trying to take his job, but he is being unkind to his own people. And therefore, I think he is a traitor and should be killed.
How do you explain that?
The Bastille was like one of Louis' very important places. He felt safe when he went there, and he imprisoned all the bad politicians and people there to protect the citizens of France. So if someone had come and destroyed one of your important fortresses, or like say a house that you like, you live in the house, but you like to go to the house. What if somebody come and destroyed that? And by doing so, had caused things inside of that house to be released. things, meaning the prisoners at this point, who could harm your people, wouldn't you have done the same thing?
Now, we will from time to time. What happened here? Have a surprise piece of evidence. So, this is a painting depicting the royal family, including King Louis XVI and his wife, the Queen, Marie Antoinette. When he tried to flee France, and they dressed up like peasants, got in a carriage and tried to sneak out to Austria. They were, of course, detained. That's how he got here today. I'm not going to try and explain his motives, why he was trying to leave, but he was caught, dressed up like peasants, with his 3 kids trying to leave the country. Okay? So that's just like surprise exhibit A. I'm not going to try and explain. You will want to try and explain, as will you. What the heck is he doing? But that really did happen. That's an undisputed fact of the case. Okay? So, next piece of evidence.
Defense.
King Louis is not a bad man. You guys can compare him to every other king all you want, say he's a bad person. Did any of the other kings give up power? By giving more rights to Parliament, Louis was the first king in all of France's history to give up some of his power and give more back to the people.
You knew what they were going to say, so don't act surprised.
No, I gotta find this by subjects. I think it makes sense that you give up power when you're afraid. Just saying.
So you're trying to do it here.
Was that her rebuttal?
Yes.
Is this her evidence?
This is her evidence.
So this is number 3?
Yes.
Okay, that was her rebuttal. This is the prosecution's third argument.
When the king tried escaping from France, he left a letter saying, "In my heart I cannot approve the resolution and detestable constitution." And detestable means like they like or dislike or hate very much. So he just doesn't like the revolution.
And hates the Constitution.
Please explain yourselves, defense team.
So, you said he didn't like the revolution, but I mean, if you were in power of a whole country and someone was trying to kill you or take it from you, who wouldn't be afraid or hate the revolution? And as brought up in Exhibit A, you said that Louis tried to free France, and you had also brought up that he had stormed the Bastille. Maybe he was afraid that that the rebels were going to come and storm his castle, so he was afraid for his own family safety.
Okay, defense, your third argument.
Okay, so. Don't laugh at me, I'm trying. When the National Assembly proposed reforms to improve France, the lovely king actually accepted it and even wore a cap of liberty, as you would say.
Which is a symbol of the revolution. That's the red hat you've seen in like the cartoons and stuff. Now, your rebuttal, right?
Yes.
Who's going to respond
She's got
to
the
that?
rebuttal.
I'm
Okay. Because you have one argument left, but you also have to...
Okay. So you said that he accepted them and put on the cap of liberty, but he also later stamped on it, and he wants the power back that he gave up. So he regretted that decision later on. What kind of king would do that? And I think that makes him a traitor. He should be killed.
Before you make your last argument, this is a cartoon by a British illustrator entitled at the bottom, "The Radical's Arms." And you will see there's a guillotine with the cap of liberty on top. And instead of a person in the guillotine, there's a globe on fire, some radical revolutionaries, minus a few teeth. And then instead of heads coming out of the guillotine, you see like Christian crosses, a Bible, kings and queens, jewels, a crown. What do they call the thing the guy gets at prom? Funky. Like the girl gets a tiara and then the guy has like the velvet hat. Remind me what it's called. I'm a bad history teacher. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's right here.
The lesser crown.
I don't know what it's called.
Last year was a fedora.
Really? Interesting. Okay, now, this is British, but that was how a lot of countries viewed the revolutionaries in France at the time in Europe. So I'm just throwing it out there, just like the carriage painting. Not telling you what to think. Just know that's how it was. Okay? British perception.
My turn.
Yes, please, your final argument.
Okay. Before I go ahead and read my piece of evidence, I'm going to try and explain the two pieces of evidence that have been presented so far. The first one, the carriage. He was escaping. He was trying to run to Austria because he thought he'd have protection there because he'd been paying them. My piece of evidence says Louis has been sending money abroad to raise... Louis has been sending money abroad to raise foreign armies to invade France. He is just waiting for the Austrian army, to come and rescue him. They're saying that he's paying them to attack France, which is by law treason. The second piece of evidence that has been produced was saying that they would just want to see the whole world destroyed. That's about all I've got. Oh, and that I think King Louis should die.
Louis! My name is son.
I think it's a Freudian slip, and he just wants to keep it salty.
That was it.
I did, I read it.
He said the reason he was escaping. That was his argument. Okay, can we hear the defense's explanation of why he was dressed up like a peasant trying to leave the country?
Good luck, guys. I don't even know.
I heard he explained part of it.
Alright, well, so if he was paying the Austrians to come and take him over and save him, why would he have to go there? Because if they were just going to come in the first place. And the kings of Europe have all made it clear that they will invade France if the king is executed for treason. That is not my argument. This one is. Do I read that right now?
The one about the kings or not?
His piece of evidence, our fourth point.
Okay, let's hear it.
Louis has said that I have not broken any law, so I'm not guilty. I will argue for my life, but I will not beg for it.
May I say something on
Well, one of you gets to make a rebuttal. Who hasn't made a rebuttal on the prosecution?
I want to say something on what he said about our rebuttal.
You'll get closing arguments.
Okay.
So their last piece of evidence was he claims he broke no law and he'll defend himself, but he's not going to beg.
But you say that he broke no law, and he's willing to not beg for his life. But yet, in turn, when he was paying the Austrians and other countries to come to invade France, then he in turn broke the law, committing high treason.
Okay, both sides got to give their 4 pieces of evidence and a rebuttal to each other's. Correct. Now, it does not matter how many of you talk, but you will get to give your closing arguments first, you last. Then the judges will go out in the hallway to deliberate. Okay? One charge, treason against France, defined as giving aid and comfort to France's enemies or levying war against France. Either of those is treason. If found guilty, death by guillotine or exile for natural-born life. If not found guilty, continues to be the king. Okay? So, closing arguments are going to be 2 minutes maximum. Think of it like a conclusion. When you write, you don't bring up a bunch of new stuff. You reiterate your best points and remind us, like this is the last thing you're going to hear, guilty because. Not guilty because. You can have 1 or more people give it, maximum of 2 minutes. You picked your job, so don't look at me like you're mad. Good. If you are, be mad at yourself, not at me.
I'm not mad. I'm just sitting here.
Your body language says otherwise.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's not a bird, I'm just saying.
King Louis, you have bigger problems to worry about.
Minor problem.
So one way you could do it is you each get up and restate your piece of evidence, or one person restates them all. Guilty, treason, death. We need to hear those words.
Guillotine. Guillotine.
Yeah.
Heads must roll.
Who's making the
Prosecution, you're going to go first.
No. I might as well get this way quicker. Turn the pages.
You're just going to write out a statement. Who's going to deliver it?
Thanks, guys.
What did you say?
I don't want to hear your crowd. So I can see what I'm actually doing because it's in a mess of other words from you guys. Guilty by high treason, death must come to all traitors against France.
You better not sabotage me. Kill you. I know where you live.
Order in the court.
Ready?
I guess.
You don't have to bring up anything new.
Huh? Oh, I know.
It's like a conclusion. Okay. Once the prosecution is done with this, they're done talking. No questions, no statements, no rebuttals. This is kind of your last word.
Make it a good one.
Paying armies to invade his country is not caring for the rights of his people. He would want to see them killed by foreign armies, which is treason against the country. You yourselves, the defense, said that he paid other countries. They must be executed. He must be executed by guillotine. Guilt by high treason, death must come to all traitors against France.
Thank you, prosecution. Defense, your closing arguments.
said we said that even Louis paid other countries. We've never said that. We never said he paid anyone. And they don't have any proof that he paid any other countries at all. Louis is a good, honest man. He did what he was forced to do by the rebels under the circumstances. He did nothing wrong, didn't break any laws.
Okay. Judges, hallway. Let's go.
Can I take my gavel?
Yes. Unless you want to revisit what they said.
Can we go over the executioner now?
You can go sharpen the blade.
Yay.
Wow. Who do you think's gonna win?
Whoever's doing that.
Go find out. Oh my God. Okay. This is just because the people who weren't here are going to write a paragraph of what they would sign. So I want to hear you guys deliberate. Think of us like the jury right now. And like a good way to start is say, okay, traitor, guilty or not guilty on that charge, because that's the only charge. And then we'll see, like, where's everybody at? Remember, the definition of treason is
Causing war on France.
levying war against France
Or
war.
aiding other countries.
Or giving aid and comfort to France's enemies. Either of those equals treason. Doesn't have to be both. So thumbs up, treason, yes, guilty. Thumbs down, no. Let's count. 3, 4, 5. So 6 of you are saying guilty, 4 of you are saying not guilty. It must be unanimous. So now, to make this even more clear, if you said guilty, please come stand on this side. If you said not guilty, this side should be 6 to 4. Okay. We all have to be on the same side. I'm not here to say which side. So, how are we going to all agree?
Why do you think he's guilty?
Because he paid Austria to come invade France.
How did you know? Yeah.
But that is true.
What proof was there?
We did the defense ever
I
say
don't
that,
believe
and
in
the
the
prosecution.
suspicion.
Then the prosecution lied about the defense even saying that. It has to be beyond a reasonable doubt.
Why do you think he's guilty, Vinny?
So, I mean, even though, like, there were not a 100% evidence of paying over the country, but the fact that he tried to flee the country in a moment that the country is just not stable and is kind of falling apart.
Well, was that his fault?
Well, it was his fault for letting it go. As a leader of the country, he's supposed to unite the people.
Well, he was trying to protect his family.
But ain't him causing the war just because he knew something was going to happen.
Well, kind of the war was caused by him.
Doing what?
He's not
He's living the life of God.
He's not waging war against his own country, though. The revolutionaries are waging war against
No,
him.
he's fleeing his country.
Yeah, because he can't control the country's out of control.
Does that make one a traitor to flee your country when you have all the power? In your time of need, you get in a carriage dressed like a peasant.
He's the only one that is responsible for it.
How do we know that he wouldn't have controlled the country from a safe spot where he knew that he would not be killed?
How is he going to control
How is he
France
going
and
to
Austria?
Letters. People talking.
Come on. Sam, that's not.
Where does the president go when people are trying to kill him?
In the Air Force.
But we also have telephones and the internet and Skype. You're talking a carriage carrying a letter that's going to take. France and Austria don't even border each other, really.
Well, back then
They're
they
across
did.
the Alps from each other.
Back then they did, though.
Sort of.
Kinda.
Also, what about the fact that if we killed our own king, a lot of countries threatened to invade?
Then we shouldn't kill the
See,
king.
that's your
But
I know,
does
but
that
if
make
it's
him-
our king, who cares? Yeah. If
Does
it's our
that make
king,
him
why do
any
other
more or less
countries
of a
care?
traitor?
No.
You can say the consequence of killing him is not worth facing, but that doesn't influence whether he's a traitor or not. But did you hear her question? Why are they all saying that? We'll invade you if you kill your king.
Because they like the king.
Why would they care if
Not
their
even
king?
they wanna
It's
protect
not
their
matter to
position.
their king. And it's not not like they have an alliance.
Because the other absolute monarchies have the same problem.
The British do not like King Louis XVI,
But
and they hate France.
Yeah, the British are advanced. They back in the French Revolution. They've already had their industrial revolution.
But how is this finding him as a traitor?
Yeah, late 18th century.
This is 1792, my son.
18th century.
The real Industrial Revolution is not going to be until the 19th century.
Well, late 18th century, early 19th century.
What about, how does this make him a traitor though?
It's not.
Why would they care if we killed our king though, unless they had something going on?
What's a possible explanation for why they'd say that?
He was paying them to come.
And if he was paying
Hey, if I ever get killed or get in prison, you guys come and invade. Is that possible?
Yes.
What's another one? Why else might they say that?
Because they.
Just opportunistic. A country in chaos, let's go take over. Okay, what's another possible one? What kind of rulers do all of those European states have?
Absolute monarchy.
Kings!
And they don't want the people of their country realizing it.
No, I'm not saying any of those three is right. All three are plausible. He's paying them. They're just being opportunistic. Or they don't want their people killing their king, because that'd be themselves.
I think they'd just be opportunistic.
Sure.
Well, what do you think they'll do to the government of France if they do invade? Reinstate a monarch, or say, keep having a revolution and writing a constitution, being a republic?
How's it prove that he's under treason though? Has to be beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay, it is undisputed that he was giving money to Austria, to helping them build an army. It is undisputed that he was caught fleeing France, dressed as a peasant in a carriage, headed to Austria. Now it's disputed why he was doing that. He says, good father, protecting my kids from these angry peasants. Prosecution says, coward fleeing the country to go back to his father-in-law's empire. In defecting, basically. Because if he's doing it for the latter reason, like he's defecting, that's treason. If he's protecting his kids, maybe we could say that's not quite treason. Will that change anybody's mind?
I think he was defecting the country. If he wanted to protect his family, he would send them away, not him.
If he was defecting, would he even, like, if he cared about himself that much, would he even care that much about his family? Or would he just bring his wife?
He's got 3 little
He left
kids.
3 kids, yeah, he would bring them if he's defecting. But if he just wanted to protect them, he would have sent them away.
All of them were caught together, dressed as peasants, wife and 3 kids.
So why would, if he was defecting and he was protecting his own hide, why would he defect to his father-in-law's country when he could defect to any other country and not have to worry about his wife and kids?
Because Paris is the closest border to Austria in the north.
Why can't he just go somewhere else?
So like Spain, which is kind of like going from Wyoming to Texas.
Well, we're assuming Austria will accept him because he married.
Yeah,
exactly. So he has to bring his wife because he would want to care about them, wouldn't he?
How about this?
Exactly. That's why he's defecting.
That's why he's bringing.
Is it possible that it's a mix of both motives? A coward running away, but also bringing family with to keep him alive?
Yeah. Maybe.
I don't think anybody's switching.
There you go, Purity.
We need a unanimous verdict, or else there's a mistrial.
I have the gavel. Let's go.
You still count as one vote.
It's like
Hey, if I sit on her shoulder, she counts 4.
no.
Why? That makes no sense.
Anyway, let's not worry about this because that's really irrelevant to the conversation.
Okay, how about this? What would you be willing to concede in terms of a punishment if they change their vote to guilty?
Only if I would concede if we only exiled him, not killed him.
Yeah, I would think it's just next time.
Because we have no idea if he fully committed treason yet.
So then we just make him not the king and kick him out of the country.
Yep.
Do we kick his whole town?
The thing is, where would you exile? In Austria?
What?
Are we rich?
We don't care where he goes as long as he's exiled.
Exile just means can't come to France for as long as you're alive, including wife and kids.
Exactly.
I don't think they'd want to come back if you exiled him.
Yeah, let's just exile.
Yeah. Well, you concede that punishment if they vote guilty. Punishment is exile.
Yes.
You two gentlemen?
Yeah.
Okay. Chief Justice, you're going to go in.
And take away all titles.
Sure.
There are kings that kill their titles.
And we're going to say first the charge of treason, guilty or not guilty. How do you find? You're going to say guilty. We're going to say what was the vote? 10-0, guilty. Now, having found him guilty, what is your punishment? You're going to say exile for natural born life. I'm going to say how many agreed, and you're going to say all 10. Okay? And then we'll explain like what were the points that really convinced you and how we had to compromise. Thank you. Okay, King Louis XVI of France, please stand.
Can we actually go get a guillotine if that's his death?
Madam Justice, on the charge of treason against the Kingdom of France, how do you find King Louis XVI?
Unanimously guilty.
Now, having found him guilty, what do you think an appropriate punishment would be?
We shall exile King Louis without titles.
Why don't you just cut my head off and then?
Do you want to change your...
If he wants it, I mean...
No. He doesn't know where he can go, though.
Well, exile just means anywhere but France.
You can go to
Can't come to
Austria.
France.
Where
Go to
you
Bahamas?
Your wife is from Austria, which is super powerful.
Right?
I can go to the Bahamas.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you want to.
Cool.
just can't come to France.
Cool.
And you have no more titles. You're
I'll
not a
get
king
to
anymore.
France with an army.
You're not a king anymore. Sorry.
Does he forfeit all his lands and riches? Everything.
Great. And my computer died.
All titles.
Just go sit on your magic bed
You
and make
and
up
your
a new
family
rule that
are
you can't be
exiled.
convicted of anything.
Ooh.
Still
Too
can't
late.
him anyway.
No, you're stuck with them. They're
Yeah.
kicking them out,
Oh,
too.
come Lincoln.
Well,
Wait.
now,
Kick 'em
what
out.
was... Kids.
Oh,
Wife and
what?
kids. Didn't know he had any, but you had 3 young ones, right? Explain the vote count.
We all voted unanimously on everything.
How did you get to that decision?
Everybody.
Wow.
We conceded to not killing you.
How nice.
How did you all agree on the guilty verdict? It wasn't that simple.
No, it took a long time. It was like 6-4, and then
7-3.
7-3.
Long
Guys-
debate.
No loyalty.
And then they had to concede that you would not be.
Vinny, you
we
too?
conceded that
You
in
come from
order
the same
to get a unanimous
continent
guilty
as
verdict.
France.
Hey, shut up. And
Shall we?
we conceded to not killing you to get a unanimous guilty vote because 3 of your royal subjects didn't want to kill you.
Which 3 were loyal?
None of your business. None of your business.
The rest died.
And then they raised their hand.
Oh, how nice you guys.
Anyway.
You guys, the rest of you guys want to be dead? Wow.
What? No.
Okay, if you were curious, in January of 1793, King Louis was put to death. They walked him up on a platform in Paris. There were 80,000 French troops on guard because people were afraid of, like, what's going to happen? Remember, people think kings are chosen by God. It's not just killing some president who's elected. A lot of people said you're killing the guy God chose, and that doesn't happen very often. His last words, when he was offered them, he said something, but no one heard him because it was so loud. They chopped his head off, it fell in a basket. Famously, a bunch of people went up and dipped their handkerchiefs in his blood, and one of them, according to popular legend, licked it because he wanted to know what a king's blood tasted like, and exclaimed, "Oh, it's terribly salty." A couple months later, his wife, Marie Antoinette, was beheaded by guillotine. Her last words I can show you guys on Monday, but she read it and then she walked up to the platform, stepped on the executioner's toe, and then said, "Oh, excuse me, sir, I didn't do it on purpose." And then her head was chopped off. 2 of their kids died of illness. One went to Austria and lived out her life until like 1750.
Wait,
Now, here's what you have to remember for next week. A bunch of European countries said, "We're invading you if you kill your king." I wonder if they'll follow through with that threat.
I hope they do.
Have a good weekend.